Okay, guys, so I'm here to talk to you about, well, you know the subject. Hail Hydra. I can see why people are making a big deal out of this, but also I can't see why. It is... I know what they're doing with Captain America. They tried to do it several years ago with something called Civil War, where Captain America died at the end of it. Shock horror. This is the comic version, by the way. And yeah, I know why they did this Hail Hydra at the end of that recent Captain America thing. And there are two possible ways around it. Well, there's only one possible way I can think. No, there are two. One, there's going to be a universe refresh, which basically means that wouldn't have happened. All origin stories again. Frankly, it's a waste of time in the Marvel universe. Or there are two Hydras. Now, what do I mean by that? Two Hydras basically means that there is another version of Hydra. A Hydra that basically is a pacifist. Basically doesn't want to really control the world, just wants to help people. I can just see it coming a mile off. But why are people so angry? Well, Captain America is... well, he's a bit of a goody two-shoes in my point of view. And frankly, changing his character a lot is pretty much frowned upon. I think there was a bit of a fracas when... I want to say Sam Wilson. I'm not very good with my comics. I'm more of a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. But the previous Hawkman? No, not Hawk. Yeah, probably Hawkman became Captain America. And he was an African American. And frankly, so what? This is the thing. It's Captain America has one really big problem. He's too nice. He is the eating apple pie, goody two shoes, get your cat out of a tree with a frisbee kind of person. And then you think about it and it's like, ooh, where Tony Stark will get your cat out of the tree, but you have to pay him. Or you have to follow him on Twitter. I can see why people are angry about this. It's equally as bad as if you say James Bond said, "Hail Spectre." It sort of breaks the character, but frankly, I've heard that the actual comic, the graphic novel, is garbage. Frankly, according to some reports, the graphic novel is absolute garbage. And well, if you're going to do that, do it with a good goddamn... You're changing the character and what annoys me more about this is that the writing is so bad, apparently. A Red Skull appears in the actual comic and quotes from Trump speeches. And it's not particularly subtle either. And it's like, you're trying to make a political statement, but it's not working. You just got people pissed off because the last page of the comic has Captain America saying, "Hail Hydra." Well, doesn't... One of the things that I think makes the damn thing worse is that the author who wrote this basically said that this has been set up for years, and that there are breadcrumbs and there are things that are going on that you could spot back in the older versions of the comics. And I'm like, really? I'm not a comic book guy. Let's face it. Hand on heart, I'm not a comic book guy. I'm more of a cinematic kind of a person. But if I was leading up to this kind of story, I would not give the hints out so easily. What he's basically said is that this has been happening since day one of Captain America. Well, no, you don't give that hint. Everyone was so shocked about, oh, he said Hydra. They asked the author about it. And it's like, okay, that's a good thing. As an author, I'd go, wait until the next one. Because I'm not telling you anything. It's like J.J.R. Martin spoiling something in the next... in the Game of Thrones or Fire and Ice trilogy. I don't watch Game of Thrones. Yeah. You can put that in the comments. I'm a bad nerd, yeah, I know. But you look at it and you think, well, he said so much about... the author said so much about it. It's just like, it's been going on for years to bring breadcrumbs. It's just like, shut up, you moron. If you're pulling something like that on the last page of a comic or a graphic novel, it's a best of both worlds. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say best of both worlds, there was a classic Star Trek The Next Generation. Well, probably if you're watching this, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, I'll explain it. There was a classic Star Trek Next Generation season ender. It was a two-parter. The first part was at the end of a season. And the next part was going to be the beginning of a new season. The interesting thing about this was because Patrick Stewart, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, was wanting a little more money. And that's where Locutus came from. Because basically, at the end of the first part of Best of Both Worlds, Riker is captain of the Enterprise, Picard is Borg, he is Locutus, and they have a way to kill Picard. Riker at the end, and I'm talking seconds away from the end of the episode, says fire. And then it splashes to be continued. That was a season of waiting for that to be continued. Because the next season wasn't due... I don't know when, but you had to wait for the next season. Not the next episode, the next season. That is a best of both worlds kind of situation. That's the same thing they've got going with the Hail Hydra. The best of both worlds had an advantage that the Captain America comic doesn't. It was a good story. It got you invested. Apparently, it's all about this bloke committing being told that he can martyr himself. From what I've heard, the comic doesn't work and doesn't deserve that kind of Hail Hydra at the end, or the Best of Both Worlds ending. If it did, I think it would be a lot more interesting. And if the goddamn writer shut his goddamn mouth, I reckon he'd get less flack. What I've also got to say is the writer's been getting death threats. Come on, guys. It's the fucking Marvel Comics universe. In a couple of years, it'll be back to normal. Or a couple of months, it'll be back to normal. Let's face it. Comics they're a very stable kind of ground. You can't screw around with them. If you screw around them, you get things like, what was it? Civil War, which was garbage. The Civil War arc. The only time I ever heard about the Civil War was 2 years after the actual comic came out. Because I'm not a big comics fan. I'm a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. But I heard about all of it on a podcast, and it sounded like the most dull bullshit I've ever seen. Even though watching the movie is fucking awesome, but the comic was garbage. And the kicker at the end, it's a Captain America comic, Civil War Captain America. And in the comic, he dies at the end. I didn't give a toss. It's difficult to explain how badly this Hail Hydra thing doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not American. But I just don't think that in the long run, having him say Hail Hydra, there is going to be a cop-out. Let's face it, there is no way he's not an imposter. They said it's since day one. Bull fucking shit. I'm sorry. No way. Come on, guys. It's not that important. It's not worth getting all pent up about. I must admit, though, I have seen the posts of other people. Things like Batman saying, I shot my parents. Spider-Man going, fuck responsibility. Deadpool going, I hate chimichangas. That's quite clever. But frankly, guys, we haven't seen what's coming next. The first one was pretty crappily written. I think the whole thing's just going to spiral down into a toilet bowl. Because I was thinking about actually reading that comic that said Hail Hydra at the end. I heard that I shouldn't even be bothering. Because all you need to see is the Hail Hydra at the end, really. The rest of it is pretty much filler. And it's like, it's sort of like Yoda going, long live the Emperor in Star Wars. It just... One of the things that I really do think that every single comic book fan should sit down and just take a goddamn chill session. They should just chill with this. It's not that big a deal. I'm sorry. It's not that big a deal because I have a funny feeling A, the comic is going to be shit, or B, it's going to get retconned to fucking hell and back, or C, both. So that's my view on Hail Hydra. Hail me. Subscribe if you want to. I'm going to start this series of basically me talking about subjects. So if you want to hear me talk about more different subjects like this, not a rant, just a chat, subscribe. I do gaming videos, streams, shit like that. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.